Well, we are only 2 days away from the NBA season resuming when the Lakers take on the Clippers Thursday night, and LeBron should be feeling refreshed. LeBron, along with Anthony Davis, Kyle Kuzma, and Dwight Howard, all sat out LA's final scrimmage against the Wizards yesterday. The Lakers did come away with a 123-116 win. So, Shannon, surprised that LeBron didn't play yesterday?
I am a little surprised, Skip, because I thought he would get like at least a quarter to get this last little bit of conditioning out of the way. But I guess that's something that you really don't worry about with LeBron is conditioning, knowing that he was staying on top of his game during quarantine. He played about 15 minutes in the first game. I think he played about 25 and a half in the second game. So he got a little bit over 40 minutes of actual run time in these two scrimmages. I'm not surprised with AD, Skip, considering he got scratched in the eye the other day. So you've got to figure that he wasn't going to play. There's probably a chance he's going to wear some kind of protective eye cover in the first game against the Clippers. I was surprised that Kuzma didn't play, considering, Skip, when I look at it, I know for the most part, I know exactly what I'm going to get from LeBron. I believe I know what I'm going to get for AD. It's that's Kuzma that's the unknown. And what we're trying to now, if he's going to give us what he gave us the other night, Skip, well, we good. We're going to be sitting pretty, but I don't know if I can count on that, Skip, on a nightly basis. But I like what I saw from the guys that did play. Caruso is going to play a lot of minutes, Skip. You can't not play. LeBron's not going to be playing 40 minutes, especially in the first round. So he's probably going to get his customary, somewhere between 33, 36 minutes. And then the rest of those minutes are going to have to go. And Caruso does play a lot with LeBron and handles the ball. So he's going to play a lot. But I love what I saw from JR. I love what I saw from Dion Waiters. Because what you need with a guy with Waiters, he's a guy that can create his own shot. He can shoot off the dribble, but he can put the ball on the floor and get to the hoop. JR was making shots. That's JR. Skip, you know you're going to get some of that with JR. You're going to get some falling out of bounds threes. You're going to get some, and then you're going to be like, damn, JR, what the hell are you doing? But I like what I saw. But I'm a little surprised LeBron didn't get at least, say, a quarter of work in. But I ain't worried. But I tell you what, you go like, man, I sure wish you took tonight off on Thursday. That's what you're going to be saying.
Really?
Yeah, I wish you took tonight off because he's going to get that work to Kawhi.
Right now, all I'm concerned about is what happened yesterday or did not happen yesterday, because I must tell you, I was shocked. LeBron James played 0 minutes yesterday. This after he played 3 quarters on Saturday against Orlando. And I told you, I was in awe of it because he's played the 3rd most minutes in NBA history. And I thought it was a little bit dangerous, but I was applauding it. I was lauding it because it looked like LeBron is all in. He is just hell-bent to go take this championship by the throat.
Right.
And do what he needs to do in the bubble to be at supreme max physical peak going into Thursday night as the seeding game starts.
Right.
So I was stunned that you even predicted yesterday, or you just said your gut feeling was, you thought he might play the whole game. Yeah. And I tuned in. It was noon our time out here on the West Coast. And I thought, this is going to be interesting. Let's see what LeBron's got today.
Right.
And I'm waiting. Yeah. And I'm like, he's sitting.
Yep.
But beside him on the bench was his co-MVP candidate, AD, who did get poked in the eye on Saturday.
Right.
So I got that. But it led me to wonder, is it possible that LeBron opted out yesterday because he did not want to play without his co-MVP candidate and expose himself to looking bad?
Oh, man,
well, wait a second. What about what happened last year? What happened with no AD last year? Every time LeBron played, it looked pretty shaky. He went 28 and 27 by himself.
But Skip, but here's the thing, though, Skip. He had a bunch of young guys that didn't understand.
A talented bunch of young guys.
I mean, okay.
B.I. and Lonzo and Kuz.
But, Skip, B.I. needed to be in a situation where he can dominate the ball. And he was never going to be in that role in L.A. And if you notice, since Zion has gotten into has come back, B.I.'s stats have dipped. And so he was never going to be the ball dominant player that he needed to be to showcase what he can do. But now that I ain't worried about LeBron. LeBron's like, hold on. You do realize I got 9 trips to the final without AD. I got three chips without AD. I got 4 MVPs without AD. I'm good. Now, I love having my side. I love having we together. We ain't no bucket seats. We got a bench seat. You know the old bench seat cars. That's how we roll. We ain't separate. We equal.
Yet, was it possible that yesterday LeBron decided, because everything is premeditated on his part, I don't want to unmake my MVP case that I made so strongly down the stretch?
It's already over.
Well, is it over?
Yes. They say they already had to have the voting in.
Well, does he want to make himself look bad without AD? Does he want to send a bad message? These games are on TV.
Yeah.
Am I right?
And he was so convinced. He like, I'm going to make sure I'm not going to play. He didn't even have shoes. He was barefooted.
Was he?
Yeah.
Well, it just gives me cause to pause, because I wonder about if he's thinking about, I want to keep our feel-good momentum going, and I don't want to go out there with two guys. Again, you just brought up two guys that I don't know that LeBron completely trusts, in Dion Waiters and especially J.R. Smith.
I don't think he trusts J.R. Skip, he knows J.R. can take big shots. He's done it. He's seen J.R. do these. Dion Waiters show. I mean, Skip, here's the thing now. Danny Green played about 18 minutes, and I don't want to read too much into that. But I believe Dion Waiters and J.R., they're going to be getting some minutes from Danny Green, because basically it's the hot hand. If you hot, you play. If you not, you sit. It's as simple as that, Skip.
Okay. Was not J.R. involved in the lowest moment, you could argue, of LeBron's career?
Yes.
Again, I think he had the ball in his hands. He should have pulled up and taken the shot. He got the switch with Steph on it. It was his shot to take, but he didn't take it. He passed it to George Hill, who went to the free throw line and predictably missed the second free throw. Right. And maybe predictably, JR lost his mind for a moment and lost track and lost his senses.
The Henny got in his eye.
Well, maybe. I don't know what happened, but again, he dribbled out the clock.
Do you believe, had LeBron James not wanted J.R. Smith on this roster, do you believe J.R. Smith is on this team? Now, you're dealing with the most, outside of Jesus Christ, the most forgiving man that we've ever seen.
Well, it's funny because he's had his issues with JR, and he knows the good, and he definitely knows the bad. But was it because they were so desperate at that point that they just needed to add? Remember, they lost Avery because Avery opted out for all kinds of family and Black Lives Matter issues.
But remember, Skip, they had already signed Dion Waiters. So theoretically, did they really need JR?
Well, yeah, you could argue. They needed another body.
So LeBron said, you know what? We won a lot together. Skip, I mean, JR has been there for 3 of these things now. They won 1 and they lost 2, but JR's been there.
Okay, the last time I saw JR on any kind of video happened to be a TMZ video on the night of May the 31st here in Los Angeles. And it was the night of the first big protest, a Saturday night. And somehow JR had parked like 1 block away down the street.
Yeah, on the side street.
And some little guy it looked like he was going to vandalize JR's, was it a car? It looked like a truck, more like. But JR went Mike Tyson on him, right? Yeah, right out in the middle of the street, just went Mike Tyson. We're just beating the hell out of him, right? And we got to see it on TMZ video. Is that the guy you trust? Because I know JR enough to know I like him, but he's got one sort of loose screw up there, and it affects him on and off the floor occasionally where he just sort of loses track.
Well, I guess the products that you could normally get in a normal situation, you won't be able to get. Yeah, so you can't get that stuff in the bubble.
Really?
I mean, can you? I mean, you got the man down in the bubble that can get you that.
And speaking of those products, do you remember the last big story involving Dion Waiters happened on a team plane in which there was a THC edible that he sampled on the team plane coming home or coming back on a trip. He was in Miami, obviously. And he had a panic attack over that. Do you remember this?
I do remember it.
Do you realize he got suspended, I believe, 3 different times just during this season, during this regular season by Pat Riley?
He changed.
He changed?
Yeah, he changed. So I remember the text. Skip, you know, he was sick. He wasn't able to come to practice. And then he takes a picture of himself on a yacht celebrating his birthday.
Do you remember that? Okay. He was celebrating his birthday. And Pat Riley said, not on my watch. You are suspended. So he got Huh? He changed.
man.
He just suddenly flipped the switch, joined a LeBron James who once upon a time he played briefly with when LeBron went back to Cleveland.
Right.
And reportedly, LeBron was often aggravated, was the word reported. He was aggravated with Deion Waiters because of his bad habits and his ball hogging on offense.
Right.
And his lack of defense, something that JR often suffers himself.
Right.
I think both are capable of playing defense when they decide. But when they have not decided to play defense, you have liabilities.
You do. But I think the thing is I don't know how much Deion Waiters is going to be playing alongside LeBron, but you need somebody that can create their own shot when LeBron is off the court. Remember, that's where they ran into the problems. If you look at LeBron's history with teams, is that nobody really could create other than Kyrie and D Wade. So everybody else was dependent. So when LeBron went to the bench, and Kyrie's really a two. Kyrie can create his own shot, but he's really not the guy that's facilitating for someone else in the typical point guard in the point guard form.
Yep.
So that's what happens with LeBron is that when he went to the bench, there was no one else that could create their own shot. LeBron needed to get the ball to them. And so now we have a guy in Deion Waiters that can create his own shot. So like I said, I don't know how much they'll play together, but if LeBron goes to the bench, Deion Waiters can get buckets. He can get his own shot. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Okay, so I warn you that now you have 3 X factors in your rotation because I think they're all in the rotation. I know Kuzma's in the rotation, and you just